Hello everyone, welcome to episode 18 of the Drone Wars. So in the previous episodes we've gone up to this point, and while there's only 2 planets left to explore on the board, and you can see there is 5 factions remaining. A lot of interesting things have happened over these episodes since the very beginning. Well, right now the Federation is kind of just all over the place. They're kind of just being subdivided by different factions, but they're kind of just concentrated around the middle. They need to figure out a way to expand. The Alliance is getting an interesting strategy where they're trying to wrap around. However, the other factions are slowly figuring that out. The Pirates down here, they are dealing with issues here, but they are trying to expand upwards. Delta Shipyards, they're still staying in their corner. Hopefully that changes sometime soon. And well, the Great Red Sun Empire over there is maybe staying in their corner, but they've been poking the other 2 factions around them. So we're going to go through these factions one at a time, and we're going to see what happens in this episode. Maybe some of these factions might take over somewhere else, maybe some major battles might happen. Who knows? We'll go ahead and see. Alright, so to start things off, well, the New Galactic Alliance here is starting their turn by trying to attack the Federation. Rather than moving around them, they're taking on the Federation head-on, and they're trying their best to stop this seemingly unstoppable formation. These carriers and battleships here are really being stubborn towards all the other factions, and they haven't lost anything, so the Alliance is hoping to somehow do some damage. They're sending as many ships as they can. There's more corvettes, more fighters, and they're going to try taking on all these ships on the moon fields. Alright, well, I'll see you guys there, and we're going to see how this battle turns out. Alright, here we are. We're on the moon, in the fields, and well, I don't know how this fight's going to go. We got 2 corvettes on this side, well, 2 Raptor corvettes, 2 Dart corvettes, and 4 fighters. Not too dangerous, but all over here we have the Federation's fleet, which consists of, well, 1 Iron Wing spearing on the front. We got 1 Baron carrier right behind it. We got a Duke carrier off to the side, and a Warrior battleship over there. And then we got a bunch of heavy fighters up here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin this battle. Let's make sure that damage is enabled. Yep, everything's all good to go. Almost immediately, a lot of these larger ships are starting to move. These fighters are also going to start moving. Also, the fighters are slowed down a lot because there's no atmosphere here. So their large atmospheric thrusters aren't going to be doing anything. And the fact that they're really heavy as well makes them less able to move in this gravity. It's a good thing that a lot of these ships here actually have hydrogen and ion thrusters to help them move around. You can see here there's already shots being fired. Got some torpedoes being fired on this side. And of course the fighters down there are trying to join in, but they are very slow. That torpedo just narrowly missed the carrier. You can see that lots of these ships here are going after that corvette. They can take out the corvette, and at least they would weaken this fleet a little bit. Massive collision here. Off in the distance, these fighters are still trying to join the battle. We also got a handful of fighters over here also trying to join the battle. Seems like that Corvette is still floating up there and still firing. A lot of these Corvettes are starting to get completely obliterated here, so they're not going to do very well. These Corvettes are still trying their best to do whatever damage they can. I believe this one's going in full steam ahead. Just narrowly grazed to that carrier. In the meantime, the other carriers here are just flying through them. Massive explosion on that Corvette. The other fighters are still trying to move in here. They are taking shots though, so they aren't really surviving that well. These carriers are really rolling in, leaving those fighters behind. They might not even need the fighters for this battle, to be honest. They're doing pretty well at just tearing everything apart. Yeah, there's nothing left of that Corvette. So now they're all just going through and steamrolling the rest of the ships here. That Corvette doesn't hit the ground. There's not really much left. Now the remaining ships are going to go after these fighters, which are taking a lot of damage from those railguns. They really don't even stand a chance. They can't even dodge. At this point, they're just being flung around, so there's really nothing they can do. Looking at the remaining Federation forces, well, safe to say both carriers are still alive. The battleship over there is still alive as well. I believe I did see the Corvette floating up in the air still, which technically means it's not lost. Yeah, the Corvette's still up there, and there's still the fighters all the way around here trying to join the battle, so no losses to the Federation fleet, and well, the Alliance has lost their entire fleet. That's really unfortunate. Alright, we're back at the board. So the New Galactic Alliance here, they decided after that failed battle, they're going to use their second action to build a new fleet over here. And their third action is to move their newly built fleet over to the side here to take on the incoming Federation threat over here. They realize that there's a rather large fleet of a carrier and some frigates, so they decided to make their own fleet using a bunch of their money to make their own carrier with a battleship and some corvettes. So this is going to be an interesting battle. I actually don't know who will win this, but it's definitely a carrier versus carrier fight. Whoever loses, it's a major loss. Alright. Alright, well, here we are on this planet. This is going to be a really big and interesting battle. So up here on the top of the mountain, we've got ourselves the Federation. They've got their shiny new carrier, flanked by 2 frigates, a corvette on the front to basically absorb the damage, and a bunch of fighters in the back. So that's a pretty formidable force all in itself. Then over here, another brand new fleet made by the New Galactic Alliance. They've got their Crusader carrier in the middle, flanked by 2 corvettes. They got a battleship up front, and they actually have some fighters up here. Actually, I just remembered that that battleship carries an additional group of fighters. I'm going to add those real quick. Just an extra 4 fighters. There we go. So that's that's the full force of this fleet. So now we're going to go ahead and declare war and make sure there's no fighters in there. Yep. Okay, cool. Alright, and the battle begins. Almost immediately you can see all these fighters going up, and a lot of missiles are being fired here. Carrier decided it wants to go backwards a little bit. Might have hit a fighter, but that fighter should be fine. Lots of missiles are being fired. Right here you can see all these fighters and corvettes are just charging in. In the distance over here we probably have a similar story. You can see the frigates are actually spearheading the charge with the corvette right here. And that corvette just absorbed a lot of torpedoes. Ouch. These frigates are gaining range of their main railgun batteries. They're firing their point defense systems to try to absorb some of the damage. Man, that battleship is really going to tear apart a lot of ships, so they need to move in and take it out quickly. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lot more ships than they can afford. Let's see here, a lot of those fighters are actually going up. So they're already getting within range of all these fighters, which are pretty much just charging in. So the corvettes here are also moving in. This is beautiful, just seeing all these fighters moving in unison to take out that frigate. The corvette and frigate have collided right there. That's not healthy for either of them. So here we are in close range combat. The carrier is actually getting into range of these, starting to fire its own missiles and its own weapons here. There's a lot coming out of it. The other carrier is also starting to get in range now. All the energy weapons that it's firing are going to start tearing these ships apart. You can see here there's a handful of fighters going after these. The other fighters over here should start going after that carrier. They are firing a lot of rockets, so hopefully the carrier can at least do something and take out some of them. It's just tearing into that frigate. Over here, the battleship and the carrier are right up next to each other. A lot of point defense systems kicking in to shoot down those torpedoes. And those fighters are doing everything they can to support the larger ships, which are taking a lot of damage at this point. I think the Duke is trying to face the Crusader head on here. If they can face his main cannon towards the Crusader, they disable all of his shields. Although those focus weapons here are doing a lot. Those shields are going to go down pretty soon if that's the case. You can see out here that this frigate is being torn apart. Got a bit of a broadside going on here. Oh, this other frigate over here is trying to do whatever damage it can. Now this carrier is starting to move around a little bit to try to take out some of these other ships. The battleship is definitely charging in, trying to do as much damage as it can, but those torpedoes are not doing particularly well. Still a handful of fighters above that are going to start going down. I think they're trying to dive bomb the carrier right now. This corvette's barely alive, firing whatever torpedoes and whatever else that it can to take out these other ships. There are fighters over there. I believe they're involved in a dogfight currently. No, they're just finishing off the other corvette as it's falling to the ground there. Yeah, it looks like there's another corvette over here that's still somewhat alive. No, it's drifting away. So he's gonna crash land in the distance. Right here you can see they're firing a bunch of missiles to take out what's left of this frigate. Sorry, that's no longer going to be a threat. He's trying to do whatever damage he can. I think his shields are actually down, so he's starting to take some damage in the back here, which is not healthy at all. You can see the other battleship over here. It's trying to do whatever damage it can. It's trying to finish off this this frigate here, just falling to the ground very quickly. You can see the fighters are now actually starting to lower down here, but they're taking a lot of damage. There's definitely a lot of anti-fighter defenses going on here. They're all just doing whatever they can to make sure this fighter is no longer a threat. That means less missiles attacking it at all times. appears there's been a collision. The fighter seems to have ran into it. I believe the Duke is preparing its main weapon right now. If it can just line up the perfect shot, it'll be able to fire, and it should completely disable a large portion of the ship for a short time, which will be lethal. As you can see, the battleship over there is trying to fire its torpedoes. It seems like the carrier's shields have gone down, so it is starting to take some damage now. They're just firing a ton of bullets into this ship. Firing it straight down the barrel if they can. A lot of the engines on Crusader have been taken down. There's a lot of missile going into it as well. Here's there are still some fighters in the distance. If they can get up, they might be able to join to fight and help. That is, if they're even still functional. There's a lot of shots going into the engines here. Yeah, there's almost nothing left of that frigate down there. Here's the other one also being torn apart, falling down very quickly. The battleship over there should join in defending the carrier soon, although it is taking a lot of damage. Definitely seems like the battleship back there has now started to focus on the carrier here. Seems like the Crusader is trying to run away from the battle while the Duke here is very quickly trying to catch up to it. ship is losing even more and more of its main engines the further it tries to run. At this rate, it might run out of engines. He is trying to turn around to get more of a broadside on the enemy now. There's a massive explosion on the carrier here. Trying to get more of his weapons in range here. Trying to get a perfect broadside. The more he does that, the more he lines himself up for the main cannon. This one, he's trying to avoid the main cannon by going up. In doing so, he's exposing himself a little bit to taking more damage. Surprised there's still some firepower left in this frigate after all this time. Well, not for long. Looks like the battleship is trying to finish it off. I mean, whatever's left of the battleship at this point. That carrier has been pummeling it from a distance, and it really is not lasting all that long. There's a lot of back and forth going on over here. He is lined up for a broadside here, so he is exposing a lot of his weapons to be able to do as much damage as possible. He is very much just tearing into the enemy ship here. Seems like the enemy here is targeting his engines still, so he's losing a lot of engines. In fact, they're pretty much penetrating through his armor, doing damage to a lot more of the critical systems. Seems like the other battleship down here is crashing to the ground now. He's taking way too much damage to continue this fight. If he's lucky, he might still be able to fire some torpedoes. But I don't think he's going to be lasting much longer. The remains of this frigate are also going to crash down soon. The Federation is definitely not letting the Alliance escape from this. Seems like the carrier here is being shot by the by what's left of the battleship down there. The Duke has stopped moving. Maybe something important was hit. Whatever's the case, the Duke is still trying to fire back with whatever it's got. The enemy ship over there is just trying to get some distance. That at least might save it a little bit from some of the closer range weapons. If it gets too far, then most of its close range weapons won't be able to hit. think the only long-range weapons this ship has is the missiles. If it doesn't find a way to get back into the fight here, then it might not win with just those missiles, because those railguns are doing a lot more damage. The point defense systems on this ship are very much still active. It seems like the AI module here was hit, so it doesn't even have any AI right now. He's still pretty dangerous firing away with whatever he's got. Pretty soon he's going to exit missile range, which will make even that obsolete. Definitely taking out those railguns, trying to make sure the enemy can't hit him. Well, at this point the Duke is no longer moving, and the Crusader is still firing away. So I think I would call this a win for the New Galactic Alliance. And pretty much their only surviving vehicle would be the Crusader carrier in the distance over there. Yeah, I guess that's about it for this battle. I'm going to go back to the board and update it. Alright, we're back at the board. And well, now it's the Federation's turn. So the Federation, what they're deciding to do, well, they've decided to upgrade one of their shipyards. The one there, they've upgraded that to a level 2 shipyard, allowing them to build larger fleets there. And of course, the next thing they've decided to do is that they've decided that they really don't like the New Galactic Alliance. So they're sending their most powerful fleet over to Fortress World here to try to reconnect to one of their other worlds out here that's been disconnected for a while. That's really going to put a dent in the Alliance's worlds, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, here we are. We're on Titan in the dunes. Let me make sure damage is on. Alright, cool. This is going to be an interesting battle here. We know that these fortresses are pretty dangerous to larger ships, and this fleet has quite a few large ships. They do have a handful of fighters, and of course their corvettes, so that should at least help them a little bit. But if the fortress doesn't take down any of these ships, well, this large fleet is going to continue pressing through the Alliance territories. So we're going to go ahead and declare war here, and we're going to go ahead and let these ships jump into battle. So almost immediately you can see these ships starting to move. If they don't move, they'll be shot down pretty quickly. There's quite a few fighters already moving in as fast as they can. The battleship is taking its time while the carriers are jumping ahead. And well, over here you can see these fighters are still moving in. You can see one of the fighters here was hit by by a carrier, but it's still moving. Might have lost his gyros, but it's fine. Well, this carrier is really not happy that it was shot at, so it's going in full speed. You can see there's already shots going after the fighters down there. The shield was definitely hit by that. We're already starting to get into range here. There's a lot of damage going in. Like the main gun here has already been detached, so it's unable to fire. That's not good. Now I see all these ships are moving in, doing whatever they can. There's a lot of damage going in for this fortress. I don't think there's any functional offensive weapons left. Even the point defense is being overwhelmed at this point. So yeah, this fortress is absolutely lost to this massive fleet here. So we're going to go back to the board and put that the Federation has taken over this planet. Okay, so after the Federation has successfully taken over that world, all the way up there, well, let's go up here and take a look at what the situation is. So now the Federation has a pretty sizable chunk over here. They basically isolated that world from the Alliance, and now the Alliance is pretty much just this chunk here. barely any planets left. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets left in the Alliance. And the Federation has a pretty good stronghold over this area here. That means that planets like that are pretty much the safest right now. But yeah, the Federation, they do want to expand out this way, kind of just damaging the other enemies before they build up too much. And well, the Federation is making an extremely bold move. So from the previous episodes, Delta Shipyards has been preparing an offense over here with a lot of different fleets here, and they're preparing to kind of spread out. Well, the Federation decided we're not going to allow that to happen, and they're going to send their fleet that was here on this colony world. Instead of going after the pirates, they decided to go straight after Delta Shipyards over here and going after their formation of fleets. So what are they taking on? They're taking on carriers, battleships, lots of battleships and cruisers, and so many fighters and corvettes. There's a lot of stuff going on here. They're taking on all of this, with of course a single carrier, 2 corvettes, 2 fighters, plus the fighters carried in that. So this is going to be a massive hit to Delta Shipyards, but of course at the same time the Federation could also just lose their fleet here. And this is a very strategic planet because of the fact it's in between these 2 factions. So I'll see you guys down there in the alien snowfields. Okay, we're here. We're in the snow on Alien. My computer is not very happy with this, but this is yeah, I don't know what the Federation was thinking. We'll just take a look what the Federation has. So the Federation over here, they've got their carrier, they've got their corvettes and their fighters. They're just like, yeah, we're very powerful. Then Delta Shipyards over here, their 3 fleets combined to make up a massive armada. They have carriers, battleships, they got cruisers, they got corvettes, they got a lot of fighters. They are fully ready for a brawl. So we're just gonna see if the Federation can destroy any of these ships, if at all. Chances are that the Federation is not gonna do very well. So almost immediately we can see some ships already starting to spring into action here. They're all just moving around, trying to get out of the way of each other. Oh man, the Federation is really going to struggle with this fight. So almost immediately we can see some fighters are already taking the charge here, and that carrier is also jumping straight in. You can see here some ships are starting to move around, trying to be cautious not to run into each other, but they are moving. In the meantime, over there we can see that the Federation's ships are also moving in. There's already some long-range shots coming in. And those corvettes are already starting to fire at each other here. That carrier is really jumping in. You can see down there the whole armada of fighters is moving in. And now the Baron is starting to charge in, doing as much damage as it can. Well, those fighters are not going to have a good time because the first thing they're going to run into is an anti-fighter battleship, which should get into range right about now. As these fighters are just getting close, they're just going to slowly get torn to shreds by all these ships. Up here we can see the corvettes have pretty much gone into an all-out brawl. There's a lot of gunfire going on down here. These ships are now getting close up to each other. They're pretty much just point-blank fire at each other here. There's so many bullets and missiles being fired. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. As you can see, all these fighters are now moving in, firing their own missiles. But they're going to start taking a lot of hits as these cruisers are now moving in. These cruisers have the right kind of weaponry to completely tear apart those fighters. That includes just their own array of missiles, a lot of high damage, short-range weapons. Those fighters are not going to last very long. There's a lot of stuttering. You can see all these fighters are doing their best. They're all going after the Phantom there. But the Phantom has enough armor to kind of just shrug off their attacks. Yep, here it goes, just ramming into them. Might be a collision here, which is not great. This carrier here is pretty much just jumping in, trying to do as much damage as it can. Just flying by everything here. Yeah, all these ships here are just taking U-turns. I don't even know if there's anything left of the other corvettes. No, they're over there in the distance, joining the fight. There is so much going on. I think these corvettes over here are going to crash into the ground. At least get torn apart. Looks like the Baron is trying to go after the cruisers and the battleship on the back. The amount of missiles being fired is pretty ridiculous. That cruiser is just completely caught by surprise as the carrier is just going over and firing all of its cannons into it. Over here we can see his corvettes still trying to survive. They've taken a lot of damage. There's still a handful of fighters around the place. So it's pretty much just Corvette-to-Corvette combat around here. These cruisers are trying to do whatever they can, but they're taking a lot more damage than they're designed to. There might be a collision with the ground over here as there are Corvettes starting to fall. Most of the fighters at this point are being completely torn down. Seems like most of the battle is going on over here with these Corvettes trying to run around. But these Corvettes are getting completely torn apart though. They're losing a lot of their weapons and engines. And their armor can only take so much. Down here it seems like I had a lost Corvette over here. This Corvette has pretty much touched the ground and is going to fall apart soon, and that cruiser is getting back up. Trying to get back into the fight here. There are definitely still fighters in the area. Some fighters are returning to try and take out that battleship. There's still a Corvette alive up there. And this battleship is pretty much just absorbing all the damage. I'm pretty sure that Corvette's getting shot down. It's pretty much lost its entire left side at this point, and the front. And that chunk might fly into that battleship. Now the battleship is just moving out of the way to dodge it. Yep, that ship is definitely going down. So now all these other ships can focus their resources on the carrier here. This carrier is trying to fire in all directions. I mean, there's nothing they can really focus on, as everything is now concentrating fire on it. all these other ships out here were targeting fighters, but now there's like almost no fighters left at all, if any. I mean, if anything, there's still fighters left on this side. Yeah, right now everyone is just concentrating fire on the main ship here. Actually, there's still a corvette over here from the Federation's team. I mean, there's barely a corvette. At this point, it's just a distraction. It's taking so much damage. Still trying to take out fighters in the distance. I mean, it's all you can kill at this point. It's none of the larger ships are going to get hurt much by a corvette. Man, that's a lot. Seems like the carrier here is slowly starting to go down, which is not good. Seems like this cruiser down here has successfully been shot down. And these corvettes are all just here on the ground. That cruiser is still alive. And now all these fighters are starting to join the fight here. Oh yeah, there's definitely still fighters on the belt. Just trying to do whatever they can to take out the shields on this ship. But its armor is pretty thick, so it's not going to allow it to do too much damage. There's a lot going on here. Seems like the Phantom is taking some pretty decent damage here. If anything, I think his AI might have been damaged. No, he's still moving around. He's fine. And that Baron is taking a lot of damage. These battleships are really struggling to try to do anything to it. Seems like the other cruiser here is just hugging the ground. Seems like the Baron is trying to get away. He's realized that this is not a situation he wants to be in. He's losing most of his thrusters. His armor is being... Yeah, the armor is being pierced in some areas, so those are going to end up being some pretty big weak spots. If he can shoot down the other enemies in the ground, all around here. Try to find a different angle of attack. The Eidolon here is not letting up that easily. Meanwhile, the other ships here are kind of just focused on finishing off everything over here. There's still a handful of fighters around the place trying to do whatever damage they can. So they will get shot down by all these missiles. So that's not great. Definitely a lot of explosions happening on the rear of the ship here. It looks like they have actually pierced the armor and are starting to dig in. More large explosions in this area here. Seems like that was actually a really big explosion. So a lot of the ship is getting exposed here. Carrier is definitely losing some crucial pieces here. So it is falling down and starting to touch the ground here, which is not great. At this point, it's just a sitting duck. And it makes them extra vulnerable to these other ships. Try and trying to get up, but I don't think he has enough thrust. So I'm gonna count that as a loss for the Federation. So looking at the ships that are left, all the Eidolon, the Cerberus, the Therion, and the Phantom are still alive. Looks like both cruisers are down, unfortunately. In fact, one of them was even split in half down here. All the corvettes are on the ground, right? Yeah, all the corvettes are on the ground, so that's that. But in terms of fighters, there are still active fighters around the place. Let me actually count how many fighters are in the sky right now. So there's two fighters still in the sky. Guess that's about it. So I'll go ahead and update that. It's quite a large battle. The Federation did a lot of damage, but at the same time the Federation lost an entire fleet down there. Oh boy, a lot has happened since that major battle with the Federation and stuff. So, taking a look here. The Federation lost their battle here, and basically they ran out of turns or actions, so then it became Delta Shipyards' turn. So with their 3 actions, what they've decided to do was they've decided to move their last fleet from there over to there. So there was 4 fleets there then. Then they decided to move one of their fleets over here, meaning that they've taken over this planet, you know, counterattack against the Federation. And then they've decided to go ahead and take their fleet that was over here and take over one of the unexplored planets, which gives them a really big advantage. So that's great. It gives them that gives them a little more income and stuff, which is something they really need. And that's their 3 actions done. Then the pirates' turn over here. What they've decided to do is that they've decided, well, since the shipyard was unprotected, they decided to go and take it over. Also, they built another massive fleet over here, which consists of 2 battleships, some frigates, and some fighters, and then they've decided to move that over here to help reinforce this planet. Because, well, Delta Shipyards is preparing for a really big offensive here. I'm guessing they're preparing to take over that homeworld at any cost. But yeah, they're definitely boosting up their defense over here. Yeah, was that it? It was build, then it was move, and then they moved another one over here to conquer that planet. So yeah, that was their 3 actions. So now we're going all the way to the opposite side over here to the Great Red Sun Empire, and well, for their first action, well, they're going to go ahead and attack the Federation, because why not? So they've decided to take one of their fleets from here, and they're going to move over here to the Trident Ice Flats to take over this fortress world. And it's pretty much just spamming fighters. So we're going to go ahead and see how that battle goes. Alright, here we are. We're on the ice flats, and well, here's the level 1 fortress, and they're going to be taking out a bunch of fighters over there. I'll double check that, yep, damage is on. Let's go ahead and begin this battle. I don't expect all the fighters to survive, but if they do, then that's great. There are 10 fighters total. We'll see how many are left at the end of this battle. I know that the main weapons, well no, not the main, the secondary weapons on that base are pretty much anti-fighters, so these fighters are going to take a lot of damage from that. And those missiles are going to do a lot of damage too. They're almost in weapons range now. Alright, here they go. There goes a fighter. Seems like these fighters are really struggling. Seems like all the fighters have just about been shot down. Some of them are still trying to do some damage. Yep, there's no more fighters left. They've all been shot down, and the fortress is still very much alive. That was a pretty short battle. We'll go back to the board and update it. Alright, well, we've reached the end of the video, so what the Great Red Sun Empire ended up doing was that, well, after failing to take out that fortress, they've decided to just move their fleet that was up there over to that undefended world that, well, it was the New Galactic Alliance's world, but now it belongs to the Great Red Sun Empire. They've turned that world, which was the New Galactic Alliance's homeworld at one point, they've turned that into a mining world. Very disrespectful of them, but they've done that to make themselves a lot more money, which is very much needed for them. And they've decided to build a new fleet over at their shipyard here, which is very much in danger and surrounded by a lot of Federation stuff. So let's take a look at the map overall. The Alliance is in a really bad spot. They've lost all their worlds up top here. They've been pushed so far away from their home quadrant that they're pretty much just pushed against the wall here. The Federation here has been pushed out of their home quadrant as well. They're now pretty much in the middle and pretty much just diagonally through these two quadrants here. Facing a lot of opposition from multiple sides here. Delta Shipyards over here has done some expansion, as you can see. They've moved up, pretty much giving themselves a little more of a foothold against the Great Red Sun Empire, and also trying to make sure they have some defense from the Federation. They've also started expanding into the Pirate Empire's territory over here, yet again. They really don't like the pirates, so they're really moving in there. The Pirate Empire, well, they've been trying to put on a bit of a defense from Delta Shipyards, and they're trying to expand upwards into Federation territory. Mostly just to reclaim their area and make sure they have good fortifications. They're gonna have to deal with the New Galactic Alliance, though, at some point. And well, if we go up here to the Great Red Sun Empire, they've kind of just been chilling up here. They expanded over to the right. You know, dealing with the Federation is really annoying to them. I mean, their ships are not as powerful, but they have been able to take over that homeworld yet again, so, you know, they're doing fine. They haven't really been having too many significant threats compared to what the other factions have been facing. I'm pretty sure that's going to change with how Delta Shipyards and the Federation have been moving around. And out of all these, well, I don't know what to say. The Pirate Empire is doing okay. Delta Shipyards is doing really well for where they are. The Great Red Sun Empire is also doing fairly well, but their income is not great. I will say, I believe the pirates are actually the most powerful at this point. The Federation has been losing a lot of forces lately. In the New Galactic Alliance, while they are still building some very powerful ships, their territories are very small, and they might lose a lot more soon if they don't do something about that. They're going to need to do a lot of expansion, either into pirate territory or into Federation territory to escape from that. Anyways, that's about it for this episode. And one thing I'm going to mention, I am working on Season 2 of the Drone Wars right now. We are going to include players in on that, so stay tuned for more updates on that. It is a work in progress, but if everything turns out well, I might actually open up some applications and stuff if you guys want to join in and have some fun with this. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.